The Passion of Jesus as a Human Being. As Jesus, the human being, the passage across earth was also very difficult for me, for my soul had ascended from the kingdom of light to the depth. It had entered a sphere which could only cause it torment, for it was the realm of Lucifer, the first fallen spirit. It was a realm of darkness, sin and death. And only the love blazing within me made life bearable for me. For this love recognized fellow human beings' appalling fate and sought to help them. And every love which wants to help takes effect as strength, so that I thus had unusual strength at my disposal and was able to use it for the benefit of my fellow human beings. I was pure and sinless and found myself in the midst of sin. And my soul suffered unspeakably because everything sinful also affected the body. Because weaknesses and cravings afflicted the body and the soul had to fight with them in order not to succumb to them. I was approached by great temptations, for Lucifer knew of my plan to release the beings which had fallen away from God from his control and to return them to the Father again. And he truly tried and did everything by which he believed he could bring me myself to fall. He was a great challenge to me in my struggle for the complete spiritualization of my soul, which wanted to unite with divine love in order to be filled with strength to accomplish the act of salvation, which could only be acquired through love. It was probably the heaviest fate a human being has borne who walked across this earth. For I also knew about my task when the unification with the Father Spirit had taken place in me. I knew about the dreadful path of suffering I had to take. I knew about the path of the cross which my dying on the cross ended. I knew everything beforehand, and yet I walked this path consciously and of my own free will because my love was so great for suffering humanity, which would have been lost for eternity without my act of salvation. For no human being was able to redeem even the grave sin of the former apostasy from God, because this apostasy took place in brightest realization of what the being had done. It was not a sin out of weakness, it was a completely conscious rebellion against God, against better knowledge. Yet humanity took pity on me, for I recognized all correlations and therefore also the impossibility of ever returning to the light again unless a work of love was accomplished through which the overwhelming guilt was redeemed. If I as a human being had not gained this realization, which was the result of my great love, then I would not have been able to muster the will for this superhuman path of suffering either. But only a sacrifice in a completely free will of love was accepted by the Father as a work of atonement. And so I consciously took the path to the cross, consciously took upon myself an earthlessness that only the love in me could endure. And I endured to the end. No human being can measure the suffering and torment a pure soul had to endure from above, but I constantly received strength because I remained in the most intimate bond with the Father, because I requested His love and also received it without limitation. And thus time and again the explanation is given to you that love offered the sacrifice on the cross. That the love which completely filled me was the Father Spirit Himself from eternity. That He Himself redeemed the world from sin and death, with whom I completely united myself, because love took abode in the human being Jesus, in a human shell which was able and willing to suffer, because the Spirit of Infinity was unable to suffer but He was able to completely radiate through a form, and thus He Himself and the radiated form were now one. The earthly walk as the man Jesus was exceedingly difficult, but it brought the man Jesus full union with me, it brought him the deification of his soul. And the man Jesus achieved the goal on earth which all people should reach, to unite with the Father Spirit of eternity, which they are also able to do because they have help in the divine Redeemer Jesus Christ, who takes the burden of the original sin from them when it is carried under the cross, and who then will also strengthen their will to achieve complete unification, the union with me, the Father Spirit of eternity. For this is why the man Jesus died on the cross, so that people can now find redemption from sin and death. Amen.